Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
Hello, 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 hello.
And we promised it to you over on Tuesday. We're bringing you another bit of the disastrous division tournament hosted by Herr Robert. Today wants to look east, but Rang, what terrible things are we seeing today?
Well, it's gonna be a terrible run today. On the left-hand side in the blue, we have GreenHD playing as Group Hartnick with a balanced income. Right-hand side in the red, we have ElBurro playing 78th Sturm with a Vanguard income.
Can I just say, I love the fact that we're actually getting a 20 mil opening over here from the 78th Sturm.
You're gonna need to use everything they can get.
Perversely, that actually isn't the worst idea for what you kind of see here. It's like so much stuff early on. You know what you've given the other guy, and you've given him 42 recon units overall. So those guys aren't going anywhere fast. I mean, they're quick, but not deadly.
I think that's a very fun thing about this tournament is that you know exactly what your opponent's deck is because you built it. So you know how to. If you built it right, you should know how to counter it.
And for right now, I can tell you, we are certainly seeing that. But the BMWs and the KFZs are absolutely shredding one of these things. Obliterate it.
Recon Russ, if I've seen run, the Stug 3 and the Pack 43 are gonna have to come in and stabilize. He's got some Stern Pioneers being brought out, but this is terrible. That should honestly be a war crime, bringing them out in the RSOs. That's just mean.
Yeah.
I completely forgot you can screw people over by taking really terrible transports.
Yeah. It's like, dude, check out my ride. You're like, no, man, don't pip that ride. Please don't.
I'll take the donkey, Hans. It's faster.
Exactly. Okay. Guys, I'm just getting my Chevrolet legs. Come on.
Oh, and there was the same side also as the RS. I think this is going to be a really boring infantry battle, Khan. It's World War One. They just have to walk to the front line.
Well, the funny thing here, too, is that I actually didn't really keep in mind that the KFZ actually has 2 MG34s.
Yeah. Double-barreled, baby.
Well, they don't last that long. Like, why would I have to know how many machine guns they have? Which means, when the BMW kind of, bikes go around when you have this killer bike gang. Not quite as scary as guys who go off-roading in the KFZs. So, yeah. It's a little strange here. Looking elsewhere, though, let's see. Northern side, all is quiet because the Flak 20s actually have a lot better line of sight, which means that you're going nowhere with that recon. And it's Stug sitting in Overwatch. So, I don't know. From the eastern side, yeah, he's down 13-11, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, it seems like he's using his Flak 38s as infantry units in this case to actually be the front line in person. Not a terrible idea considering how open this area is. You might as well just bring out 20mm cannon to the fight. But a Pack 43 will be pretty vital in screening the front line here until some artillery or airplanes can blow it up.
Which, after Tuesday, I'm supposing the question here is, do we have airplanes?
We have a lot, and I mean ElBurro. He has enough reconnaissance planes to probably spot, well, every single unit and the color of their eyes. And he's gonna need that, considering he has 4 Sea-Face Guards 81mm mortars. So he's able to direct artillery like a goddamn orchestra.
I just love the fact that he's got 48 of them. 40 freaking 8. And he can get 1 every 30 seconds if he gets nothing else.
With that point, you don't even need to resupply him. I mean, he can, because you're forced to take an A-phase supply truck at least. You just run out of ammo, you just buy more mortars. It's probably more cost-effective at that point.
Yeah, it's actually kind of perverse when you think about it, because at this point when we're having this happen, this is when the Germans can't afford all of those things. So... it's like, oh yeah, just, Hans, get the new one. Oh, well, the new model's not out yet. Oh, fine, we'll go to the store and buy another one. Oh, and another benefit to the fact that you have 1.5 billion Flak 38s, airplanes, no problem. You have BF-109 trying to engage a BF-109 G6. And, like a G6, I don't know, I think he's quite deadly.
Yeah, does get a very good sniper. You got the Flakvillian half-track being brought on out as well. And this has been a pretty, apart from the bike gang routes, a pretty slow match. And that's just due to the fact that everything's currently in RSO. The infantry have only just now reached the front line.
Yeah, yeah, and it almost makes me think that these are Valentine tanks that are carting all the troops to the front, or is that too mean to our British companions out there?
That's pretty true.
Okay, well in that case then they're exactly having Valentine tanks carting all the infantry to the front. It's like the slowest tanko Thessaloniki rush ever.
It's faster for the Thessaloniki to just jump off and start pushing the tank.
Yeah, it's kind of like, when that thing's in neutral. I don't know how bad your cars may have been in the past, but like oh man, I got to get to the nearest petrol station. Get out and push. But it is 12-12 over here. We actually have a Schützenführer going up against a Stoßtruppen. And I don't know, I feel like Schützening might be more impressive than Stossing. So,
At long range, he does have that advantage. The Stoßtruppen need to get in closer, actually take advantage of their Stossiness. But now the Schützenführer are going to get a little bit too close here and get a nice drink for their travels.
I never really was one to drink jellied fuel here, but hey, if it works for you, I suppose. Why not?
You can't be picky on Eastern Front, Khan.
That's fair. That's fair. It's a very fine vintage, I'm sure. Also, I'm noticing. Oh no, never mind. That's just a dead German Jeep, for lack of a better term. I saw a nice little pyre down to the southern side. Like, yeah, something worthwhile. Nope, my bad. But Storm Pioneers against Stoßtruppen. We have a T-34 sitting in support. And that's actually kind of scary under the circumstances.
Yeah, that T-34 can provide a whole heap of firepower. There is also the Stug as well, but once again, lack of infantry support. If you don't have infantry spam, you're going to have a hard time in this tournament because cheap infantry are just so good at holding ground.
True. Very, very true. We are going to see, though, Stug G put some fire over here onto the infantry. Not a crazy amount, of course, but maybe just enough to be dangerous. We'll see. What did we just see go down to the south? That was one of the BF-109s. Jeez.
Yeah.
Which that was the G8 or the G6? I don't know. Regardless, not what you want to be seeing really overall under the circumstances. Now, I do like the fact that we're starting to see a development of a Flak 38 just kind of pushing and pushing and pushing. Of course, the problem with that is that Hartneck over here does, in fact, actually have some 75 mil guns, so not the most ideal.
I also do like Bike Gang back here. It's actually making some havoc behind lines.
That's exactly what I was going to call out over here. It kind of reminds, it's like Great Escape right now. I feel like I have like Steve McQueen being like, gotta get to Switzerland. And it's like, how'd you end up in Russia?
You went the wrong way for a very long time.
Well, he was just trying to avoid the German patrols. They'll check right by that over in France. And we actually are going to see right now the 75 mils that they are engaging those Flak 38s. So, kind of what I feared was going to happen. That anti-air net is going to start to fragment quite a bit if things continue to be such as they are. Let's put it that way.
He's going to keep those Flak 38s quite mobile. Honestly, for ElBurro, trying to push up north is probably his best bet. He doesn't exactly have the infantry numbers to make effective pushes down south. But if he can get some artillery, eventually those 81mm mortars, and recon planes up, use them to screen up north, and then just try to push these open areas where it's a weak point in GreenHD's line. I think that's probably what the best thing you can do. However, like you said, those 75 mils are up, and they also have the radio trait. So
yes,
if we do get a radio spotter nearby, these guns are going to be pretty accurate. Heck, I think they already are pretty accurate, because that 176 mil is actually quite close.
Yeah, there's 276 mils kind of catching the crossfire, so if you turn on all the aiming points of them right now, it is shockingly effective. As just one after one. Seeing the Schützenführer is going to take some hits here in a second. We have the 375 mils actually all going after the Flak 38 here, T's, yeah. Man, you don't appreciate how accurate those radio traits make it until you see said radio traits in action.
Yeah, it's honestly completely changes just how good an artillery unit can be. Because those 76 mils are, you know, just the same as the Russian runs. The Germans just decided to bolt a radio onto it. They don't literally. Oh, the idea of them actually just bolting the radio right to the artillery gun seems like a very silly but funny idea. Definitely helps out quite a bit. Yeah, I don't think if the gun was actually bolted to the radio was bolted to the gun, it would kind of shake up a bit. Probably break after, you know, a few firings, but what do I know? I'm not a radiologist expert.
Radiologist, that's right. That's exactly what we need to worry about, is radiology.
Yes.
We are going to see quad 120 mils. So that's 480 millimeters of just delicious hot HE damage, and you know, a little bit of smoking if you need it. But that could actually be rather good at shutting down some of these artillery parks at the absolute minimum. So I'll be kind of fascinated to see where they start trying to engage.
Yeah, even just on the front line to blow the hell out of GreenHD's like infantry positions on the hill down south. Could work pretty well. All those units are pretty clumped up together.
But
even for the mortars, he's not even going to spread them out.
Exactly. And that's what's going to be kind of saying over here. It's like, okay, if they don't know where you're going to be firing by the time you fire off your third or fourth round, they do not deserve to live. We're going to see it happen right about now. Now, the only difference here is they don't have the radio trait. So, oh wait, don't they? No, they don't.
They don't.
I was going to say, you were silent there, and I was like, wait a second. Apparently, I've missed something, so I had to quickly check the unit card. But the first rounds falling onto the FU, 288s. And we might see a quick pickup here. But, congratulations, you've killed one of all these thinking positions. So it's not going to be too pretty, regardless.
I do hope he relocates those 120 mils, because counter-battery fire is quite deadly.
Well, they haven't been encouraged to shift just yet.
Or if the bike gang was to come down. There's only one biker left alive, but
he's a
good mission for him to finish off his career.
I think they're more concerned right now about actually clearing up the front lines, which I can't hate. That kind of makes sense to me. Especially if you bring your own 120mm mortars in, and he hasn't done it just yet, but he is relocating some of his 75 mils.
We're seeing more Stugs being brought on out, and yeah, just using them in the northern area of the map is really his best bet. He's going to be running into 76mm guns. So they're going to have a bit of a hard time trying to penetrate those rather thick Stugs.
Yeah, but the 76s actually are good on the front. You can see right here, for example. Yeah, I mean, those...
They're not as thick as I imagined.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Stug 3, so if it was a Stug 4, yeah, at that point, they could have a lot more of an issue. But obviously, not going to be seeing those guys in this particular game. At long last, one of those 76-2s does go down, but not before taking a Stug 3 with it. Now, Storm Pioneers got 6 of them reporting to the southern side. I'm not entirely sure. What I do seem to be seeing is another pain train, all looking to find a second one of these positions. It's fascinating. They pour all this firepower down there, and I'm pretty sure they're going to lose at least one of them, if not 2. One's already smoking.
Jory's very risky to do the fire position strafing with fighter planes, because if you're just a few meters off, which is very easy to do with the mouse cursor, you're not going to do anything. It's utterly useless. And if you're short out, it's utterly useless, and the 120 mils are utterly useful in this case.
So it seems. But it is 13-11 over here in favor of ElBurro, so... Actually, wait a second. You said there is... Yes. So there are 2 munitions trucks. I don't think... Actually, we probably will see one of those here. So I get the feeling the 120 mils are going to actually run out of ammunition before too much longer. I am fascinated, though, what they think they're firing at.
At the infantry position in the town. Gonna soften up those Stormtroopers for the Stern Pios to come in and finish up the job.
Oddly enough, those rounds are falling short if they impact the Starstrip, and he's actually aiming directly between all three of those things at the same time. It is almost scary how effectively he's been able to split the three of them.
But he does manage to stress out the Stormtrooper just enough to actually get some effective hit share. The Stern Pioneer, now the 7-1 is also getting hit pretty hard and forced to fall back, so a very good position that ElBurro is going to capture. If he can just get a bit more infantry into that position, bring up the Stugs, zone out, he should be in a pretty good spot.
True, true. Now, I'm surprised there actually hasn't been counter battery fire from the 75s or the 120s over here from GreenHD. Like, I would think that'd be the first thing you're going to be doing under the circumstances.
Yeah, that's such a juicy target. One good round could kill all four of those mortars, and as we've seen, those mortars have pretty much been the most useful thing ElBurro has brought up so far. They're getting some very effective kills.
True. Now, being the fact that it is 1410, we actually are not into C phase, and we're not going to be to C phase for just a hot second here. But the 78 Sturm going to be desperately down in income once we get to that particular position, and honestly, at that point, Hartnett gets scary.
Yes. It's all the, I think the mortar spam down south would definitely do quite a number. And also just the recon planes, I think that's a pretty 1-2 combo, which you can take advantage of. At the same time with, yeah, you also get, oh no, that's for 78th Sturm, my bad.
I was going to say, Green HD, I was like, Hetzers galore, you got a ton of infantry.
And the machine gun spam. See, it's not just terrible divisions, it's also terrible casting you get along as well. Get the double rounding, guys.
Well, where else can you get value like that? Like, come on, that's why you come to here. Now, Stug 3s are going to be engaging and taking out these T-34s. One thing that we kind of don't always talk very much about is the T-34 is very good, but just in-game, it trades more or less decently with the Stug 3. And the Stug 3, I feel like, and this is just anecdotal, I feel like there's more crits that happen from the T-34 and the Stug 3, but the Stug 3 kills quicker than the reverse.
It's a classic, you know, engagement matchup. The T-34 wants to be close range, and the Stugs, if they can force long range fights like this, they are absolutely Gucci. And Gucci they be right now, as they are picking off that T-34 quite easily.
You know, it's kind of like going on a date with somebody that you got set up by your friends, where you're like, man, like, yeah, you're great and all that, but I'm only here because I have to be. That's what fighting a Stug with the T-34 is. And the T-34 is the other side of that date. I say that. I say that with Lady Con in the next room.
Should I be bringing my T-34 to, like, future date, Chen? If I just need to leave, I can just drive away through the restaurant?
You know, that would guarantee. I mean, that thing that would be the easiest way to have like an emergency to get out of it. Like, yo, I gotta go. My T-34 needs to go to bed.
Yeah, it's Kursk at 11 o'clock. I'm needed on the front lines. Exactly. It's nice meeting you, but there's some tigers which need to get blown up.
Oh, at that point, maybe say Panzers, because tigers at that point just gonna call like the ASPCA on you or something. Yeah. Like, I don't know what that's gonna be. But no, actually, we have a Stug 3 that's kind of breaking his own rule, but a Grenadier Fuhrer that desperately throws down the Naval Hand Granata and smokes it up. So very, very lucky there for the T-34.
And there's no infantry anti-tank, so they can't do anything. But T-34 goes down, and we have another bike gang. It's just a very dangerous neighborhood here, being brought up here from ElBurro. And I think he can pretty easily just rush this through and maybe start trying to pick off some of those artillery units.
Yeah, and there's quite a few of them, aren't there?
Yeah, there's quite a few. He could definitely get some very good pickups here. I mean, those BMWs aren't really great frontline units, but as we've seen, running around in the rear, that's really do shine.
Oh, and it is much easier to shoot things that can't shoot back at you,
yeah.
So...
My preferred target.
I'm not even sure how to process that. I'm just going to nod sagely and say, then stroke my mustache. So, for the record, the whole, like, Fu Manchu, like, Kill Bill kind of beard. So. But infantry's getting picked up over here on the southern side, and I think right about now we see the FK-231, the Französische 75mm, going after the Flak 38 in the south. To be fair, there are better targets, there are more necessary targets, but hey, it works, I suppose.
Yeah. And it's still, like, a trove. It's a pretty glacial, terrible divisions match. Once we get to C phase, ElBurro does have a rather big disadvantage with the income. Like, honestly, giving your opponent balanced income does usually work in their favor, because most people stack C phase units into the deck. Because it, like, race time to make A and B as painful as possible. So, GreenHD with the Tiger spam, the Hetzer spam, and the machine gun spam, yeah, that's a pretty damn good combo, especially if he wants to push up north.
Yes, indeed. And actually, I think we're into C phase now.
We are.
We're getting more 120 mils. Yeah, it's actually kind of funny just because of the fact of there's just a lot of stuff overall. You see right now, for example, we have 3 of those Russian 45 mils all going after the Stug 3, and really should be able to either crit it out or just kind of paint chip it to death if the Stug 3 in the back doesn't do it first.
Yes. Eventually.
Of course, I say that. There's still the Pack 43 from the beginning of this game, who's just been kind of going to Pound Town as much as possible. There's also now, of course, attracting undue attention by those 120 mils on the other side. So one thing I'm actually kind of confused by is why these 120 mils from ElBurro have not been dropping maybe the last 4 HE rounds that they've got, or things like that. I don't know. I'm very surprised by this.
Like, you really need to get him resupplied. He does have the resupply card in his deck, and considering how effective they've been, you'd want to let them continue doing their thing, but instead he's buying a bunch of Panzer Boyshers and some more Pioneers. He has made good progress down south, but now with his C-phase injection, we're seeing GreenHD is bringing in a lot of troops, and pretty good troops. Yeah, those Jaeger Pioneers do slap quite a bit.
They certainly do. If we give a second to the northern side as we see a Stug G. Just kind of, I don't know, I'm not sure how to say this. I'd still make this a family-safe video. But he's getting awful close with that wood right there.
Oh yeah, he's just poking in and saying hello, but no infantry anti-tank. It is actual anti-tank, and if I decided to maybe lend a hand, that Stug 3G would not be longing for this road. But instead the Storm Troopers are just going to get, well, stopped.
But we are starting to see numbers start to really do their level best to kind of crush here. We're mostly because I'm talking about the 4 Stug 3s that are over here from the western side from GreenHD, and the outnumbered Stug 3 Gs over here from ElBurro. There's a lot of Gs going on.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the air, whether it's on the ground, it's brutal. It's brutal.
It's a very good force to do this counterattack through the northern side here. There's no real anti-tank, no Pack 43s. The Stug 3Gs can deal with the other Stug 3Gs, one by one, as all of ElBurro's Stugs are a bit more spread out here. Then the infantry just slowly pushing on through because ElBurro doesn't really have anything on the front line. It's really just the Shooting Fuhrer holding everything together.
You know, it is. At the same time, we are seeing the Mortars are starting to engage those Stugs, and while one of them has already, one of the ElBurro Stugs has gone down, making this back to a 12-12, he could theoretically force this back with the right application of HE. It's just going to take an awful lot.
And those Stugs are self-propelled, so if they just keep on moving, those Mortars are going to have a hard time hitting.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see a lot of these target zones just getting redefined and redefined and redefined and redefined, which is kind of funny, at the same time just kind of sad to watch. Because just somewhere, there's an artilleryman, there's a stovepipe operator who's just furious because he keeps making calculations, and the freaking officers up top just keep telling him to drop and drop and drop and drop. So...
Pick a bloody location!
Exactly.
What am I, a human calculator?
I can assure you from some of the things I've experienced recently with some students, that is definitely not the case. But you can see that just the fury is being unleashed over here behind the front lines as those Stoats just continue to drive on forwards. And I think They're going to be picking up more this last brave Stug to the northern side. And geez, 75 mils are starting to engage. And I think we're even getting a targeted attention from the 120 mils as well. The mortars, one by one, getting taken out. And not in a very, very kind of like good death. Just like a lousy, stinking death. Just crushing.
Yeah, and it seems Green is in a pretty good position to just collapse his northern front line. We're seeing the Grenadier DP spam being brought on in. That should pretty easily deal with the Schutzenführer. We see the KF Snare up north, managing to snag that flag. And also with more Grenadiers being brought on up, they can pretty easily defend that position for the time being. While ElBurro can only really bring out Stugs to defend, and he does not have enough Stugs with GreenHD Stugs, and he doesn't have the income to really fight the Stug spam.
But he could theoretically have mortars.
He could. He could. But the mortars are only going to help down south in the town. And the southern position is not looking great either.
Funny thing, did you realize that the 28 mil Panzerbursche Ein- explodes when it dies?
It does?
Yes, which confuses me greatly, considering it is an anti-tank gun. So...
Tiny browns as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, you know, the meat bags, I don't think meat bags tend to spontaneously combust like that. I will say my own research into the area has been a little bit lackluster, so I can't say for sure. But regardless, things certainly do look dire over here for our red player, don't they?
They do. Just having the balanced income is such a huge boon in this case. GreenHD can very easily just outproduce ElBurro. And Racine is just, if you zoom all the way out, there's a whole heap more blue than it is red. And all the red units aren't exactly frontline fighters.
I mean, it's nice that we have the gendarmeries on the front lines. It's nice to see those cops actually doing something with themselves. But hey. Northern side, the second ride of the bike gang goes down. So GreenHD, you know, not everything's going his way. Just, you know, the overwhelming bulk of it. And we are just seeing more and more Jaeger Pioneers, more and more Grenadier DPs, just more and more and more. And I think, and I might be wrong, I think this started really going wrong when all of the artillery for ElBurro fixated on, you know, the front line artillery over here for GreenHD.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's also just time. I mean, ElBurro really needed to get some sort of good point advantage earlier on to really leverage his Vanguard income. And by just it being pretty much a stalemate, well, a back and forth stalemate to be fair, ElBurro's just a bit buggered.
And we see that buggery happen over here as ElBurro gets defeated by GreenHD. And they're looking actually at the kills and losses, and it's starting to look a little bit more massacre-y.
That's a...
Not, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And then looking at the kills...
If we're just counting raw numbers, I mean, the Pack 43 did great, and that Stroke 3 did great, but...
And how was it?
Yeah.
And then losses... nothing really great. Everyone performed quite terribly.
Which is good, because that means that we're consistent. It means that there's a certain level of just kind of usual badness that we're kind of seeing over here from these replays, which, again, I think if it fits the tin, that's the important part. So
what we want. Very good job, yeah, Green, for making a pretty terrible deck.
Yeah, I think ElBurro, you were just too darn nice over here to Green. I think Heart and Neck, even a bad Heart and Neck deck, is still good in its own way.
Yeah, like the Tiger spam, the Hatcher spam, that's pretty good stuff.
Or, you know what, nothing could have happened over here? Made a Vanguard income.
Yes. You should be given your person Vanguard or Flatline.
Well, even if it's Maverick, you can find a way to make Maverick kind of worthless as well. But whatever you do, just balance is not the way to go.
Yeah, no C-phase income. They do not deserve that.
Or here's a truly killer one. Juggernaut.
You'd have to... I think you'd really have to, like, tailor your deck somewhat to make it so your C-phase is terrible, but not giving them too much of a good A-phase, B-phase. Because that can also hurt you quite a lot if you give them too many good units early on. Which
True.
makes
That is.
the deck building fun of this tournament.
But I think we're actually going to have a little bit more of that coming over here in the next few replays as well.
Yes,
So,
that is the plan.
folks, honestly, if you want to kind of theory craft in the comments below, by all means, go for it. If you want to go and just kind of lampoon and say, "Oh, good lord, how did ElBurro made such a donkey of himself?" Or Green, oh man, I was green to the gills by watching him. Let's hear some of your kind of tough talk over here. I think I need to get some more cheap seat shouts over here. So guys, let's hear it. But for the time being, I think that's doing it for us today. So until next time, I'm Connell Work.
I'm Rangru, take it easy.